A beautiful morning to you. It's the morning call on the 16th day of June, and we are coming to you live from Pointe-Noire in Congo.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on today's edition of the Morning Call. Wherever you're watching us from, I am Robert Kodingo. 40 years after Soweto Uprising and the students who galvanized apartheid in the world against apartheid in South Africa, what is happening in the country?
The 10th anniversary of European Development Days, world leaders currently meeting in Brussels with the aim of strengthening relations between the North and the South. What impact would it have for Africa? We'll be speaking to our Euronews counterpart.
Any statement and action likely to aggravate the situation you are in right now, warns Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma of African Union against Ethiopia and Eritrea.
Mozambique's currency plunges by 10%, recording a low of 66 metical against the dollar. More in our business segment.
Now, thank you for joining us on the morning call. South Africa commemorates the Soweto Uprising of 1976, today that set in motion the demise of apartheid, the release of the late Nelson Mandela, and democracy in the country. Now, international condemnation of apartheid state was quick and unanimous even by the UN Security Council after, but many in the present hold opinion that disillusion has replaced hope in the country.
Well, this anniversary has provoked great discontent because for the first time since the bloody uprising of students in Soweto, the ex-white soldiers were invited to march side by side with black students in the township on Saturday, an eventful day for the victims' families, with everything still fresh in their memories. Listen to Dan Monsitsi, who also took part in the protests in Soweto.
The violence that came in 1976, it was not the violence that was caused by students. It was the violence of the apartheid police who shot at us, mostly at the back when we were running away. Now, the response obviously was a rain of stones to protect ourselves. And we began to attack with stones, and they started to shoot. What June 16 did was to ignite the tinderbox. All we did was to light the fuse that made South Africa to explode. To us, it's an opportunity when they come. We want them to see us that we are human beings, you see. We don't have horns. We are not going to harm anybody. We want to reconcile. We want everybody to have opportunities, equality, and we also want poverty to come to an end.
Now, that day changed South Africa. Professor Somadoda Fikeni joins us live from South Africa on the morning call. Good morning, Professor Somadoda.
Good morning to you and good morning to all your listeners.
You were present during this uprising, and probably you're still a young man then. Now, you've had experience with the Ubuntu Charity Organization and the A-Leaf Development Association in the 80s and the 90s. And do you think South Africans are disillusioned years after the uprising and even after Nelson Mandela, the late Nelson Mandela, was released and the start of democracy in the country?
Well, when you consider the excitement which was there in the early 1990s and now, you would say that there is a bit of disillusionment, particularly amongst the young people, because unemployment, poverty, violent crime, HIV/AIDS mainly is impacting on the young people.
Now, you once said that South Africa is a country of hope, but right now the people are just experiencing moments of despair. Now, based on that quote, South Africa still has a myriad of problems, amongst them being racial discrimination and even police brutality in some events. How can you describe the way forward for the country? And by describing the way forward, I mean politically and economically.
Well, the democracy itself is generally stable, but it is going through serious challenges, mainly because of leadership crisis at a political level at the civil society as well as in the economic sector, it will take leadership rising from those spheres to exploit the potential of the country and also to rally people around. I don't think people are necessarily frustrated because of the current challenges, but it is the despair that comes out of the lack of vision and lack of leadership being demonstrated as to how in future we may tackle these problems.
Now, are you saying that the leadership in South Africa currently is not fit enough for South Africans?
Whilst you do have capable leaders at a political level, the infighting and the claims of corruption tend to be the dominant feature, and sometimes the scenes in our parliament where people would be hoping that leaders would be curving some path into the future and also discussing the current economic and social challenges. You find that partisanship as well as infighting and factionalism is the dominant feature.
Thank you.
That was Mr. Somadoda Fikeni, a political analyst based in South Africa.